What is going on, guys? Joey here. And today I want to talk about a couple somewhat lessons from Worlds, some interesting things that we saw. Truthfully, I actually wrote the notes for this video before the meet. Just thinking about some of my more advanced lifters that have been doing this for a long time. And then we saw a good example of somebody who had been doing powerlifting for a long time, putting it all together and then having, a great meet, seemingly when they had kind of been past their prime, right? We also just recently had Ina. Ina works with Will. He's the Giga deadlifter in the 83 kg class. Put a statistic out saying, after you've been training for about 8 years, it's pretty much that's it. Like, you're just going to have snail gains after that, and it's probably going to be downhill or stagnant. I don't agree with that. I think, just to talk about that real quick, if we look at the last 8 years of powerlifting, it was very different than what is happening literally like the last couple years. And I think the next 8 years, we're going to see that trend of people getting kind of stagnation break. I know this because there had been lifters that had come to me after been training for a long time, and we were able to find new ways to continue to progress. And that's kind of what this video is all about. It's just about, there are people out there that have been doing this for a long time, and they have a perception of training. They have a perception of what it means to make progress or how they can make progress and things like that. But I think me having the ability or the privilege of working with just like the best lifters in the world, and continuously year over year, we're constantly looking for small ways that we can improve. We're looking for little areas, or just, it's almost like you have a gold mine, right? You're digging in the gold mine, and initially when you hit the gold mine, you're finding lots of gold everywhere, PRs everywhere, gold, right? After a couple years, it becomes much harder, to the point where you start to think, is there really any gold left here to find? Should we move on to, is this gold mine done, right? The gold mine done being the lifter. But what you learn is, you just start to, just in the same way that the variables, like your food, your sleep, your nutrition, all of those things can play into you having a good meet or a good performance. You can look at each of those things, like there's different levels to it, right? Like, maybe you've been sleeping like 6.5 hours a night, and that's just kind of what you accepted, right? But you didn't look into, why am I getting 6.5 hours? What about my daily habits and my nutrition and my stress is making it so that I'm just complacent with 6.5 hours? Is there a way that I can really get that 8.5 hours of quality good sleep? What can I do to put myself in that position? And this is going to be kind of a very, we're going to be talking about things in this video that may not be realistic for a lot of people, but it's talking about going that extra mile, doing those extra things, because let's face it, the sport is getting to a point where we are seeing opportunities that simply didn't exist before. Let me give you guys an example. I live in Los Angeles, right? I'm not going to win Sheffield, obviously. I'm not lifting, I'm coaching. But if one of my guys who lives in Los Angeles, which none of them do, were to win Sheffield, that money, it's cool. It'll help a little bit, right? It's whatever. But people that live in other countries, where their cost of living is like $1,000 a month for everything, that money is going to go so far for them. That is a life-changing opportunity for them, right? Obviously, in America, we have higher expenses. I'm an extreme case living in Los Angeles, right? You have people living in New York, in the city. That's also like super crazy expensive, right? But those countries, these countries that strength sports are their thing, they have more of a reason now to do everything that they can to go after something like a Sheffield or something like, sponsorships, or, maybe their government gives them incentives for doing well. There's just so much more on the table now, more players coming into the space. I mean, some of my lifters got sponsors I didn't even know about, I didn't even heard of. I didn't even know that was a thing, you know what I mean? So there's just more and more opportunities coming out of the woodwork. So we're starting to see, I know in my camp, we're pulling out the microscope, especially after Worlds, and we're looking at every little thing to try to say, how can we go the extra little mile? What quality of life can we sacrifice to gain more on the platform? That's literally kind of what it comes down to. How uncomfortable can we get to get that little extra inch, that little extra mile, to put ourselves in a position, to make history and do something great? I have a couple lifters right now that if we can do this, if we can really dig deep into that gold mine and find those little, maybe we hit another patch of gold, right? We can do something historic that may never be touched. That might never be, for a long time. I think records are meant to be broken. I think as the generations come into the sport, people start younger and younger and younger. You have parents, let's say like me and Tina are both powerlifters. If we have a kid, that kid's probably going to be better than me and Tina ever could have been. You get what I'm saying? Unless they hit my dad's genetics and become super tall. You guys get what I'm saying? But like, we're just digging deeper now. We're digging deeper. We're looking for more ways. We're looking at the sleep. We're looking at the nutrition. Yeah, I'm hitting my protein and I'm just doing whatever with my macros. Well, why whatever? Why not be precise? Why not? You get what I'm saying? The value of a nutritionist right now in powerlifting has never been higher. Take that to the bank. The value of a nutritionist right now in powerlifting has never been higher, right? If you lock that in, if I can hit 885, in the gym with Russ, imagine what happens when we lock that in and hit that on the platform, right? If Keiko can hit, 2030 in the gym, what happens when we lock that in and hit it on the platform, right? Look, even Jesus, he started nutrition this meet, right? Like, it's Amanda. She didn't even cut weight. She locked in her food. Like, there's so much more to uncover that in the past, we used to just coast, right? You do your training, you eat some protein, right? You're good, right? It could get even more. It could just be better. We're fighting for the extra 1%. What's 1% of your total? You know what I mean? What's 1.5% of your total? What does that do for your total? It's kind of crazy when you think about it. A 3% increase on a powerlifter total, that is like a lot. That is so significant. We would be so happy with something like that. You know what I mean? The mentals. Maybe you're stressed out all the time. Maybe you're just in a bad mental state. Maybe you got bad friends. Maybe your job is taking away from your ability to be your best on the platform. Man, this topic, I could branch off into so many things. I'll touch on it at the end. Remind me about locking in at the end, guys, because I know this is happening in real life, in real time. Is your job and your environment the best thing for you to be the best lifter that you can be? Obviously, there's a lot of different people. There's a lot of different people that listen to me. Maybe you just want to be a decent lifter. Maybe you don't think you have the potential to be the best or whatever. That's fine. We work with all types of people here. I just had a girl compete. Shout out Melissa. I don't know if you listen to my videos. But she dropped like 4 weight classes, got stronger over the last couple years together. And, she's not trying to win worlds, but she changed her life. She looks so different now. So different. Her confidence is better. Everything is just, you get what I'm saying? It's one of the beauties and one of the amazing things about powerlifting. But anyway, just because a lifter has been doing this for a long time, or just because a lifter is older, right? Look at Jurens, look at, what's his name? Big Tony Cliff, right? Just hit at the Powerlifting Hall of Fame. That doesn't mean that it's over for you. You can always improve. You can do, maybe it's just better execution, right? Maybe your technique was just not the comp standard. maybe you've always had super strength on a particular lift, but you just never hit depth, or you always were trying to use cheater technique. And if you would have just went with something more consistent and built that, you'd put yourself in a position to, you know, I don't know, maybe you could bench 500 with cheater technique, but if you just would have done like normal form, maybe you could hit a solid, 490 or 485, and right now you're stuck at like 460, right? But you're trying to go for that 500. You get what I'm saying? There's so many different things, little tiny things that can be done for the better. Now, you got to be careful because you don't want to overthink. Literally the first couple years of my channel was just dealing with overthinking. And I think right now, a lot of powerlifting has gotten rid of that. I think people don't overthink as much and the answers are more out there, and, people kind of go through the process. I don't know. You guys tell me, are we still overthinking? Are there any overthinkers in the chat? Let me know, chat. Let me know. Should I stream again? Let me know. Anyway, for those of you that remember the golden days. But yeah, I think you have to be, and Ina kind of talked about this in the post as well. He said that you got to be a little delusional, right? You got to be, and honestly, my champions, they dream big. They have goals that may be unrealistic at the time, right? When Jesus comes to me, little junior Jesus, and he goes, I want to compete with Ray Williams one day. We are not even on the same planet as him right now, right? And then we put in the work, and then we end up beating the world record total, So we didn't know that was a guarantee, but we had a dream and we had an idea and a thought that it could be possible. You know what I mean? So you got to believe that you can be better if that is what you want. Now, I understand that powerlifting is this thing where you got to kind of give up something to get something. And there will come a point when you say, I don't want to give up anymore to gain anymore. I'm good giving up as much as I have. I have already given up enough or whatever. And that, some lifters, they start to get resentment for the sport, right? They start to say, I'm not going to lie to you guys, with Keiko, that last, I don't think it was this Sheffield. It was the one before. It was right after Sheffield going into Worlds. Keiko was thinking about not doing that meet. He was really he was going to take this break last year. And I was like, dog, we could win one more and we could do another Sheffield. I'm glad we did it because he ended up winning Worlds again and getting, second at another Sheffield. Right. But he could have very easily told me no. But I told him, I want you to gain weight. I need you to be bigger on the platform and we need to handle business. And that was already in the red zone. I did some things to ease it, to make it a little easier with training and the split and things like that, to make it tolerable. But he was already in the red zone and we had already been going for a long time. But he was able to squeeze out a little bit more. If you guys look at his lifting cast, his open powerlifting, he's been, he's gotten better every single meet, right? We've literally chipped it every single time. There were times when we could have gone more than that, but we didn't want to because we were playing with the world records and, we're trying to get paid on those. So we don't want to push it too hard. But, the point is, Keiko had already been lifting for a long time at that point, right at that 8-year mark. And, there's still more in the tank. And I'm just excited I think where powerlifting is right now and just I feel like we're digging deeper and we're looking into things deeper than ever before, while still not overthinking, respecting, the things that need to be respected. You could literally fall apart if you do this wrong, but there are times when things just take a little bit of attention to detail, or we just need to get back to, right? With Russ, you guys saw in my post, we talked about how we kind of strayed away from what got us here in the first place. We just need to get back to that. We need to get back to our process and the things that getting back to doing the simple things right. And I think I'm gonna call it here. I know Grant's visiting LA. He's finishing up his deadlifts, about to go eat, so I gotta go back. But I just wanted to say, if there's one thing that you take away from this video, I just want it to be that there's always more that you could put in. There's always a stone that can be flipped over to find new gold, to find more gains. It just depends how much you want to give. At the end of the day, you're writing your own story. And I understand, everybody has a limit. People are humans. Not everyone's a robot. Some people need to be, cold as ice and just suffer and just do it because that's what they want. What they want to reach the level that they want is going to require something like kind of unbalanced and maybe not even the best for their health, but it's what they want. You're doing things at an extreme level. For others, you're willing to give enough to be happy, and then after that you don't really want to do too much else, and that's okay for you too. Everybody has different goals. I deal with all the entire spectrum. I don't one thing that I take pride in here at Flex is we have such a diversity of different types of lifters, different backgrounds, ethnicities, strength levels, all of that, right? And being able to switch gears for each person and kind of having to, the way that I push, a Russ or a Keiko or Jesus is going to be a little bit different than the way that I push, little Timmy, who's just doing his first meet and just wants to go 9 for 9 and doesn't really care about PRs too much. You get what I'm saying? Everybody's different. So, and that's something that I understand. And I'm not saying everybody needs to bleed for the sport. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope you guys took a little bit of motivation away from that. I hope that the spark can stay alive after listening to this video. I feel like I was a little bit more passionate in this one. I feel like my old self. I don't know. Anyway, guys, love you guys. Seriously, thank you for being with me on this journey. What do we got coming up? I got Raleigh in 3 weeks with Delaney and Devin, and then Junior Worlds, and then I go into hibernation until Sheffield. So anyway, love you guys. See you guys in the next one. Peace.